On April 28, 2024, Palm Beach County Marine law enforcement officers arrested a personal watercraft operator for boating under the influence under Florida Statute Section 32735. The body camera footage captured the entire implied consent process, from the preliminary breath test to the subject's formal refusal of an evidentiary chemical test.
Do you have anything on the boat that belongs to you? No. No? I'm going to go ahead and stand up and have to take your handcuffs off.
I gotta tell you, man. Never been more sure about now. Like 798 954 798 805. I know you would. I know you would.
Are you detained with someone?
It'll be Palm Beach County Jail.
Palm Beach.
Are you with her?
No, I just made
No.
it, bro. They got the family. I think it's right in front.
And did we get your driver's license yet?
Yeah, he got.
You got? Okay.
He's already in the call.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Give me a deep breath. Just blow. Perfect.
You sit back down.
Take a breath. Oh my God, man. All right, perfect. All right, man. Give me one more blow. Huh?
Are you sure I can't just get a warning?
A warning for boating under the influence?
No, I'm not under the influence.
Yes, you are, ma'am. Absolutely are.
Take a deep breath and give me
We don't give warnings for boating under the influence. That'd be like getting stopped on the road and say, hey, can I have a warning for driving under the influence?
There you go. You heard the click? All right. Oh, I see the click. All right.
Florida Statute Section 32735 defines boating under the influence as operating a vessel while under the influence of alcohol or a controlled substance to the extent that normal faculties are impaired, or with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or higher. First offense is a second-degree misdemeanor, carrying a maximum of 60 days in jail and a $500 fine. Practically, the statute mirrors the road DUI framework under Florida Statute Section 316.193, with one key extension. Florida's waterways fall under a parallel enforcement structure governed by Chapter 327. Florida Statute Section 327.352 codifies the implied consent doctrine for vessel operators. Any person who operates a vessel on the waters of this state is deemed to have consented to a lawful breath, blood, or urine test upon lawful arrest for BUI. This consent is not voluntary in the moment, it is constructive consent, established by the act of operating a vessel in Florida. The operator accepted this condition the moment they launched onto public waterways. Before requesting a formal evidentiary test, officers are required by statute to deliver the full implied consent advisement verbatim. Failure to do so renders any refusal penalty legally unenforceable and compromises the admissibility of any subsequent test result. Preliminary breath test is a field screening device only. Under Florida law, a PBT result is not admissible as evidence of a specific blood alcohol concentration at trial. Its sole legal function is to establish probable cause for arrest, nothing more. Once probable cause is established and arrest is made, the implied consent advisement triggers. The sequence is non-negotiable. Arrest first, advisement second, formal request third. Any deviation creates grounds for suppression.
Alright, I'm going to read you some stuff reference the breath test, okay? I am now requesting that you submit to a lawful test your breath for the purpose of determining its alcohol content. Will you take the test? just a yes or no. Mia, you have a right, okay? I'm not asking you questions about your arrest. You have a right to provide a breath sample. It's just a simple yes or no, okay? Do you want to provide a breath sample? No. I need an out loud no. Okay. If you refuse to submit to the test I requested of you, it will result in a civil penalty of $500. Additionally, if you refuse to submit to the test I've requested, and you've previously been fined under section 327.35215 Florida Statutes, or if your driving privilege has been previously suspended for refusal to submit to a lawful test of your breath, urine, or blood, you will be committing a misdemeanor. In addition to any other penalties you will be imposed by law, refusal to submit to this test I requested is admissible into evidence of any criminal proceeding. Do you understand what I just read to you? So basically it says, if you refuse the test, it's a $500 civil penalty. If you have a prior refusal on record, it becomes a misdemeanor.
Take a moment to think about it.
Yeah, you can take a moment, yep. Okay, so just in summary, because I want to make sure you heard what I said. If you refuse to take the test, it's a $500 penalty. It's like a civil infraction, okay? If you want to take the test, we'd be happy to do it. You don't want to take the test, okay. Yes, you are, ma'am.
The subject refused the evidentiary breath test. Under South Dakota versus Neville, decided by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1983, a defendant's refusal to submit to a breath test is not protected by the Fifth Amendment's privilege against self-incrimination. The court held that refusal is a physical act, not a testimonial communication, and therefore it may be introduced at trial as circumstantial evidence of consciousness of guilt. Florida prosecutor can tell a jury the officer offered her a test, she declined. The inference that she believed the test would confirm impairment becomes part of the prosecution's case. Refusal is not a safe harbor. It carries its own evidentiary weight. Florida Statute Section 327.3521 imposes a $500 civil penalty for first refusal. A second refusal, where a prior refusal exists on record, constitutes a first-degree misdemeanor, a separate criminal offense independent of the underlying BUI charge. Under Birchfield versus North Dakota, decided in 2016, the Supreme Court held that warrantless breath tests incident to a lawful arrest are constitutionally permissible under the search incident to arrest doctrine. Officers, in this case, operated squarely within that framework.
You will get a copy of this form. I'm going to read you your directions on the back, okay? Take it out, your light jacket off when you get on the dock. Just make sure everything's all right, alright? Now step back to the back of the boat. Alright, what you're gonna do, you're gonna step up here, and we're gonna help you get up, okay?
Alright, cool.
Step up.
These two big guys will help out. Alright. There you go, perfect. Alright.
Alright, is there a table?
Good?
Yep, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. Take a seat right here.
The officers receive a grade of B+. The implied consent advisement was delivered verbatim, comprehension was confirmed, and the subject was afforded time to decide without coercion. Welfare checks when the subject became unresponsive reflect appropriate duty of care, legally distinguishing alcohol impairment from a potential medical emergency. Deduction. An officer's directive at the opening of the footage, telling the subject to, quote, shut up, falls below professional communication standards. Directed at a person in custody, such language contradicts de-escalation principles and creates unnecessary civil liability exposure. The subject receives a grade of C+. Her statutory right to refuse is intact. However, exercising that right without apparent awareness of its evidentiary consequence reflects a critical gap in legal knowledge. A subject who submits to testing and registers near or below the legal threshold may present a stronger defense than one who refuses entirely, because under Neville, that refusal becomes admissible evidence of impairment. Prolonged silence and inability to answer direct yes or no questions further reinforces the prosecution's impairment narrative. 3 takeaways apply broadly from this interaction. First, implied consent is not a Miranda right. It is a statutory condition attached to the privilege of operating a vessel on public waterways. Operators who do not understand this distinction are legally disadvantaged before the encounter begins. Second, refusal is not a neutral option. Under Neville, it generates admissible evidence against the refusing party. An informed decision requires understanding that choosing not to test is itself a prosecutable data point. Third, procedural compliance by officers, verbatim advisements, documented comprehension, proper sequencing, insulates prosecutions from suppression motions. Procedural discipline is not administrative formality. It is the foundation of admissible evidence for sin. Leave your analysis of this case in the comments below. If this legal breakdown was useful, consider subscribing for more in-depth coverage of law enforcement interactions. Thank you for watching.